Good morning, Tony. Thanks a million, Tony, for coming on the Business in Northern Ireland podcast, powered by Action Coach. So, Tony Ward from Cornerstone Technologies. How are you, Tony?
Very well. Yourself? Thanks very much for having me.
Not at all, not at all. Great to have you. So, Tony, for our listeners, Cornerstone Technologies, what do you do?
So we're a training company primarily in the automotive industry. So we focus very heavily on sort of very high level training to help crash repairers, car repairers, repair parts they might not have thought were repairable, but safely. These vehicles have got a lot of sort of high level systems on them, and they've got to be careful about when they can and can't repair them. So we train people to repair safely. That saves them a bit of cash on the part, but also sells them a lot of labour, which is very profitable. And we also work with several large insurers and manufacturers to do the same to them. So we can support both the insurer, the body shop, the customer, and everyone's winning. Then we're on to a bit of a nice journey there, really.
Okay, and where are you based, Tony?
Myself personally, I'm in Hilltown, just outside Newry, Northern Ireland. Originally from just outside London, Hertfordshire. We've been over here now for about 12 or 13 years.
And where's the business based?
The actual business is based here from an address point of view, but primarily we cover England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, really, with future plans going into Europe as well.
Okay, so where is the training predominantly done?
Well, up until recently, we're quite nomadic. As you can imagine, most people that repair cars don't really want to travel. So over the years we've worked in Scotland. We utilise different training centres in different parts of the country. So we'd work in Birmingham, Scotland, Bristol, London, Belfast, local one to you guys, River Park, and a couple of others. But recently, only over the last year or so, a couple of years, we've got a more sensible base now in Milton Keynes, and that's working very well for us.
Okay, so is it predominantly body shops and that would come for training, or members of the public that have it?
No, it's definitely trained technicians, people that have had experience of repairing cars to a degree, that would be very practical. The kind of guys that would do an apprenticeship, doing a panel beating apprenticeship or painting apprenticeship, something like that. And we just help them sort of improve what they're already good at doing, you know?
Okay. So they'd come for you for a specified time for a training course, and that's basically how.
Yeah, well, most of our courses are 2-day courses. They focus on very specific areas. So plastic is one. We do a lot of work on glue pulling and push bars. We do a lot of work on steel and aluminium. But we also we train insurance engineers to understand what degree is acceptable, what isn't, so that they work together a bit better, a bit more cohesively, for the benefit of everybody.
Okay. And when did the business start, Tony?
I started Cornerstone in 2015. I was doing something similar for 3 years prior to that, but to actually physically own it and run it myself, we kicked off 2015, which is actually quite apt, really. This is our 10-year anniversary this month. So we're still here, thankfully, through the ups and downs of business, as you probably well know. So I've been going for 10 years now.
Okay, so I was going to say 10 years in, everything you expected?
Yeah, the first 6 were tough. I'm not going to lie to you. You kind of have these amazing ideas and the vision of where it should be, and then it changes after year 1, then year 2, then year 3, and all of a sudden you go on this crazy journey, and suddenly the clouds start parting after about 6 or 7 years. And you go, now that's exactly what I want to do. So, and ironically, it wasn't where I thought I'd see myself, like 20 years ago, you know. But we seem to be the biggest. The biggest differentiator for us was just collaborating with the right people. That's been the big difference for us over the last 2 or 3 years. Huge difference. We can all do things on our own, but if we want to scale up, we've got to start working with the right people, and that's been the biggest change for us.
And how did that come? How did that collaboration come about, or what was the
biggest key? We had a couple of investors going along the way that really supported us from a time perspective to help us find our feet, but kind of grew apart naturally. They wanted to go down different routes. weren't supporting the direction we felt it should go down. And the way the major collaboration came about sort of about 3 years ago with a large company called Vision Network, huge company, big accident management company in the UK, biggest in the UK. We did a pilot for Hastings Insurance for 2 of their major body shop groups, and thankfully the results were very favourable. And then the serious conversations came about where, how do we do this together? They had a network of 1,000 body shops. We had some very good training that was going to help them financially, the body shop individually, but also the network as a whole. And the rest is history, really, as they say. So we formed an agreement. We sort of now have a co-ownership now with us and some of the shareholders of Vision, and it's working very, very well.
Brilliant. So what does the business look like today? How many's in the team?
So total, we've got about nine employees. We have a combination of sales guys, including myself, trainers, technical trainers, finance team, and we have a small team of subcontractors as well, which works very well for us and them, guys that run their own businesses, but like giving back a little bit to other people. So we've got a bit of a mixture of people. So about 9 of us now.
Okay. 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan. What's the vision?
I can't share that on here.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
No. Well, we've got a very distinct, clear 3 to 5 year. I'll tell you that. Growth has been a really, really, as with every, it just sounds cliche, but every business is the same. But yeah, we're looking at growth year on year for the next 3 years. We've got plenty to go at from a pipeline perspective. We've got plenty of insurer customers and manufacturer customers, but we want more. That's now creating a much more formal partnership, in a sense, whereas before we might just train a guy and that'll be him done. We're re-accrediting now every 3 years, so people have to be kept up to speed with modern changes, safety systems, modern vehicles, that kind of thing. So there'll be a re-accreditation now, so that's adding a lot of value to the business. On that side, we work, as I said, very cohesive with Vision. They've got major plans ahead with growing their footprint in Ireland and in France, as well as other European countries. So we'd like to think that we're going to be a part of that solution and work with those guys. How that looks is going to be interesting, because it's hard enough getting body shops to the UK to travel to the UK, let alone French or German or Spanish or whatever, whichever way we go. So there's lots of plans. That's the kind of 3 to 5 year deal. The growth plans are fairly consistent that we've done over the last 3 years. Probably increased the business 30-35% year on year. Probably a bit more this year, to be fair. In a sort of depleted market as well, which is very, very, which is looking very good for us. And then 10 years, that'll take me to, I'm 50 this year. I'm 50 this month, funny enough.
Happy birthday to come.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say you didn't look it, but no, go on. Thanks. Yeah. We'll edit that in, yeah. But no, 10 years is, listen, 10 years time takes me to 60. I'd like to think that we're either in a very, very nice position to either work in all guns, sort of guns blazing, or the business may well have been sold, and either I'm looking after it or I'm doing other projects within the industry, because I do enjoy the industry. I find a lot of good, genuine people. So who knows? But I think that's the plan. But it's growth or sale after that point in time,
Yeah. So that's a very clear goals and plans in place, and that's backed up by your impressive growth this last couple of years. And so a lot of businesses don't have a plan, and so what is it about your business, or why did you said the plan you had when you started 10 years ago and how it changed and stuff like that? What have been, there's the collaboration part, yes, and that, but was it sit down with investors and do the 3, 5 to 10 year plan, or was it yourself? Or
I've always been quite active in sort of self development, read a lot of books, but I'm classically I'm a doer rather than a pragmatist. So although I read books, I get more out of actually doing it, failing or trying and failing and doing it that way. But that can take a long time. We've had support along the way, some very, very good business coaches, personal to me, but also to the business. We've had a lot of trial and error, I'd say, as well, because we as I said, we've tied up with different people, and what we thought was going to work didn't. Plenty of fails and falling. But as you do, as they say in most businesses, isn't it? It's not about how many times you fall; it's making sure you get back up again. And we've had some really good people that have supported us along the way, from original investors right the way to our current investors, who, just really have a very clear path of what they want to do with the industry. And it's all, what I found is we had a product, really, a small service and a product. But what's become more clear to me is the mission and the why, really. I guess, quoting Simon Sinek of all people, but is that why, and our sort of meaning, and our what's the word? Our purpose, I guess, is getting stronger and stronger. And we do a lot for a lot of independent body shops. We do a lot for large insurers. We do, by default, it wasn't deliberate, I'll be honest. We'd love to say that from day one we had this in mind, but the environmental impact on all industries across the world is massive. So it's a huge thing. And guess what? We help people repair more parts. So we're very, very green. And from a genuine point of view, rather than greenwashing, we save a lot of substrates, a lot of metal, a lot of aluminium, a lot of plastic going into landfill. And so suddenly we become really, really relevant. And I think as we became more relevant to the way the world's going, it made our purpose even more clear. And so, yeah, look, we thought we always had a clear purpose. We'll help this guy safely repair more parts. Now we're helping a complete industry that is having influence globally at the moment. So we're working with people in South Africa, Dubai, America, just to try and put our processes in place for their networks in a similar vein,
Okay, brilliant. In terms of the plan, then, what challenges are you currently having, and challenges do you foresee in the future?
Good question. This is the thing we're always battling with. Our industry is very, how do I put this? We've always worked on small margins as an industry. It's very tough. People think car body repairers and insurance companies make millions and millions of pounds every year, but really, the reality is they're fighting the tide every single month, every single year. And there's only so much you can pay to repair a car, to make sure it's insurable. There's lots of factors that affect that. At the moment, post-COVID, we had a real big flurry of huge amounts of volume of work coming in off the back of 2 years of sitting around. Loads of work available, and all of a sudden, which was predicted by one of our investors anyway, on the owners of Vision, about 3 years ago, that the work volumes would drop significantly. And over the last sort of year, they've probably dropped by about 22% roughly. People will probably tell me it might be 24 or 18, but it's there and thereabouts. That's creating significant challenges with the repairers themselves, because obviously they've got high level of staff, lower level of work. We've got an aging population as well, so we've got a lot of older gentlemen, ladies, if you like, mostly gentlemen to be fair, our industry, who are coming to retirement age. We've got a huge gap in the middle there. There's a lot of good work from people like the School of Thought and Auto Raise that are trying to drive apprentices into the industry, and it's a very vibrant and energetic industry. It's a good industry to be in, but that's tough. Same as hospitality, same as NHS, for example, teaching. It's not easy to bring people into these roles. So we've got several challenges at the moment. But the beauty, again, it's not by design, but we're very heavily involved in the education of these new staff, these new people, these existing staff that are moving from place to place. So we're in quite a nice position to support that, as long as we've got the people in there in the first place. So there's a lot of challenges out there at the moment. Cash flow is difficult. Staff is turbulent. Work volumes are low, but with the right partners, we're hopefully, we self-profess we're one of those solutions to the problems they've got out there. If you haven't got as much work, why don't you make more out of what you've already got? That kind of thing. And luckily, with Vision behind us as well, we're connected to a lot of work provision as well. So they put a lot of work into these guys. So it gives them a bit of impetus to work with us as well in a nice way, sort of a polite mandate, if you like. So yeah, there is a lot of challenges at the moment, as there are across the world in all different kind of industries. But we're right a nice time. Again, let's make no bones about it. We're a small to medium sized company. We've come from small, so our growth is all relevant or relative to the size of the company. But we're moving in the right spaces at the moment. So, but there are, like I said, a lot of challenges at the moment.
Yeah, good, real good summary there for our listeners on that. So, to go back to a young Tony, you didn't
I'm trying to think if I can go back that far now, but go on.
10 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
You didn't see yourself in this industry. So what did a 14, 15-year-old Tony,
Oh, crikey.
what was the dream back then?
I thought you were going to have like about 15 years old, not
No, no,
35,
no,
40
we're
years.
way back, way back, way
Uh,
back, way
yeah,
back.
but no, I wasn't. I was always sport mad. I played a lot of football, a lot of rugby. Mum and dad were teachers. My dad was a PE teacher, so every waking minute was kicking the ball around, trampolining, archery, badminton, anything I get my hands on really. So it was inevitable that I'd end up in that arena. I thought teaching was probably my vocation. Or professional footballer or rugby player, whatever, but that never happened because I can't sit on one thing at once. I'll play a bit of football there, a bit of rugby there, a bit of badminton here. So I can't concentrate on one thing for too long. It's still a problem of mine now, by the way. But yeah, I did a sports science degree. Suppose sort of physio, sport, teaching was very much on the cards, and then I ended up moving up to Manchester and just fell into sales by accident and thought, actually, it's quite good this. If I do well, I make a lot more money than I thought I could do. But it's tough, right? You got to take a lot of knockbacks to build that. But I found I wasn't bad at it. And lo and behold, I just grew and grew and grew. Entered into the automotive market in about 2020, so about 25 years ago, working for two of the largest accident management companies, and that's some great jobs, great people. Gave me a good insight into the industry. And then after about 10 years of that, I was like, made the classic assumption that I knew everything. And why am I making all these people money when I can do it for myself? And it's about 2010, something like that. I set my own business up, started doing accident management, but I realised that ship had sailed for me. Did a bit of business development for some people, and just while I was finding my way, so it took about 3 years to really find my feet. Then bumped into my now business partner Lee Caswell, who's very technically gifted, writes and delivers a lot of our courses, and I realised, hang on a minute, we've got something here, so we got together and found some investors and went and sort of met him about 2012, but it took us to about 2015 to get going. So yeah, the irony is, as much as I'm in the automotive industry, I'm back in education. So I suppose, full circle. Again, not deliberate, not by design, but I love it, and really passionate about. Listen, I very rarely talk about making money because it just seems as long as we do the right thing and give value to people, the rest of it follows, and that seems to be a really nice kind of mantra at the moment. And we're doing some good stuff for some good people, working with some large and some independent companies and some major global companies. And as long as we keep delivering good value and are enjoying what we're doing, then we're going to keep doing that. So it's a potted history there, very quick.
Yeah, no, very good. It's funny when I hear you say about your mum and dad being teachers, you know what I mean? And you're in education, training, whatever. So you had mentioned purpose and why, so what is the mission, or the mission statement or the mission in the company?
To be honest with you, ironically, we're going through a whole positioning strategy at the moment on that, and in a roundabout way, it would be to continue to deliver high level value and improve the profitability and sustainability of the industry. Really, that's kind of there'll be a mission statement around that phrase somewhere. But everything we do, our purpose is just everything we develop, deliver, innovate has got to have that at the base of it. You have to keep delivering value. If we stop delivering value, we cease to exist. And so our industry dwells on reputation very, very quickly. You take years to build it up and lose it very, very quickly. So thankfully, we've on top of training, we've developed tooling, we've developed consumables that support our training, which is becoming a bigger part of what we do, which I didn't think I'd ever do. We've just manufactured from scratch a brand new plastic welder, which I just didn't think I'd ever be involved in anything like that. But it's been a great journey. That only got launched about 6 or 8 weeks ago. That's going great guns as well. In fact, we can't make it quick enough, which is good. 180 pre-orders just sat there waiting. I'm going, come on, hurry up, build them. So it's been a really interesting journey, and that's I guess really, and we're looking at that kind of mission statement and thinking, is that us? If I'm being honest, we've got other ways of conveying that, I guess, but realistically, it goes down to just continuing to add value to keep that profit going into the industry, to keep these guys sustainable. Because if we can keep them in business and make them profitable, then obviously we have a much better longevity with these with our clients, and we can continue to grow our client base based on that reasoning.
Yeah, it's definitely a difficult one to get the right wording to make it, one, realistic, and two, you mentioned about getting people in that. So I think that will come down to, what is the point of difference of this company? Why would I go and work for them? Which is something 20, 30 years ago people would never have looked at. And
you're right.
So it's that point of difference, and that's important. Just for our listeners, Tony, I suppose you gave a quick brief there of the journey, and probably fair to say it was late enough then in life, starting out on your own. And any advice to our listeners? Do you know what I mean, in terms of anybody's thinking of starting off on their own, or
do it earlier?
Mistakes you want to share?
No, just do it earlier. I'll tell you, I've got. You mentioned about influences my life. I've got my dad was my rock, if you like. He passed away last year, unfortunately, and he's a massive influence on me with, values, work ethic. My mum and dad split up when I was very young. Actually, I'll go into too personal detail, but and so we stayed with my dad, funny enough, and so we had to work together, me and my brother. My mum, bless her, she passed away a long time ago with cancer, probably nearly 20 years ago now, and so the changing point really for me was that realization of time. But the lady, the guy she ended up going off with, they stayed together till she passed away, and he's a lovely guy. And like I said, my dad was the kind of the work ethic, the values, and whereas my mum's fella was very much a complete blue sky thinker. Just never. I still keep very good contact with the guy. And it was around all those kind of things. He said to me, probably 15 years before I set my business up, you're wasting your time to set your own business up. He told me that 15 years before I set my own business up. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough. I probably didn't believe myself that much. But it is funny when you do look back, when you start, do you know what? Don't worry about making mistakes. You will make mistakes, but just keep driving and looking for something that's going to improve it, whatever you do, because we found many times. I had 1, 2, 3 businesses that I was kind of dabbling with while I was employed. Again, probably shouldn't be saying this, but you have a hustle, don't you, as they say in America. But and they were okay. I enjoyed it. I made a little bit of money here and there, but wasn't focused on it at all. If you've got a my opinion really is, if you really are going to take this seriously, you've got to stop doing what you're doing. You've got to focus on this, and you've got to really put the time and the energy into it. And don't worry about it if you go down route A and it doesn't work. Amend it, adjust it, go down route B. And you are going to have challenges. You are going to fail. You are going to win sometimes, but it's having that resilience to, I suppose, continue to believe in yourself. I guess that's the key bit for me, because I know I've got it here. I knew where I wanted to go. I just didn't know what it looked like, if that made sense. And as I said earlier on, you kind of go and you leave and you think, right, all these exciting times, I'm going to set my own business up, and then everything goes wrong. And in a couple of months, you don't get paid at all, and you're like, oh my God. And that's when you go back to your dad and say, any chance I can have a little bit of a loan, because I've really these 2 guys knocked me this week. I'm taking them through down the legal route, but I don't know if I'm going to get the money back. And so you have all these ups and downs. But I think if you believe in yourself and you believe in your product or your service, you do have to put the time and the effort in, 100%. And it takes a long time. Please don't think, this is my personal advice, don't think that you can start a business up and you'll be a millionaire in a year. You can get lucky. You can. There's plenty of ways of doing that, software apps, that kind of stuff. But in the real world, you've got to put the effort in. It took me 6 years of seriously focused on this as well, by the way, really working out where I'm ready to go. And we're still changing that now. Okay, so we haven't got a route now that we're actually dead set on. It moves all the time. But what we have got is a reason for doing what we're doing, and we know the impact and the outcomes we're looking to achieve with the target market we've got. All the other stuff, like I mentioned about France and Ireland, things like that, that's just a bonus. We've got a really good focus on what we're doing right now, and if that other stuff comes off, great. It just gives me a few more things, a few more sleepless nights to try and develop that. So.
Really good share, I think, there, Tony. There's a lot of stuff there on the journey that's really valuable, and the one thing, the more people I interview and the more successful people, the one thing that I'd say they all have in common is hard work. There's no
Yeah.
there's no quick
So
there's no quick
it,
there's no quick fix.
as we've grown, when we've brought in better people, like I said, I think before we came on the call, I classed Lee and my business partner as a very close friend and a mate. I've got, a guy I used to work with 20 years ago is now working for us. He's one of my best mates, and we've just got a very, very good team. And I think what we've developed really is a real nice culture in the business where, people care. And I'm noticing that we've got guys that get disappointed if we have feedback forms that come through every Wednesday and every Friday for our training courses, and everybody reads them. Right, we religiously. I didn't realise this for a while, but I do. And you get a lot of a boost from that. And you know what? They're not always perfect, but when they're not, what did we do wrong there? Let's get in contact with this guy. Let's try and work out what we found. And I'll be honest with you, some of them are justified. Some of them are because there was butter in a roll, which he didn't like butter. But that's these are the things you have to deal with, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. So, but you know what? They do care, and we've got a great team of guys. We're growing that team. We'll continue to grow that team. We've got a new starter next week. It's coming into the sales team. We're looking for maybe at least one, maybe two more trainers as well in the near future, probably early part of next year. So it's just getting the right people. And we have lost a few. Don't get me wrong. We certainly haven't got it right every time. But I think another bit of advice with you is when you realise something's toxic, have the guts to gotta go, this isn't working, guys, leave. Because sometimes you can leave it for a little bit too long, and that can have detrimental effects. And we've had one or two that haven't really worked out like that. But we've moved on from that.
You only need one bad apple in a basket to rattle.
Yeah.
Is enough. So you mentioned there about personal development and you do a lot of reading. So what are you currently reading, or what's the last book you have read?
I've just finished Trading Game by Gary Stevenson, which is not specifically linked to it, but it's very, very it's harrowing to a degree, very poignant in terms of the financial situation globally at the moment, which is a bit of a worry. But then I'll put that down. The trouble, like I said, I can't do one thing at once. I'm halfway through Kate Adie's autobiography of all things, right? And that's brilliant. But in terms of going back on business books, I'm just actually looking at one. Obviously, probably big influences for me. I think things like Maverick by Ricardo Semler. I don't know if you come across that one there. Very good. It's just so basically his father owned a marine pump company in South America, and he just ripped up the rule book completely. And the guy's unbelievable. So that kind of made me start thinking about things very differently. But yeah, like I said, the standard books like the habits of highly successful people, for example. Just looking for my book list here. Chimp Paradox. I like the psychology of sales and psychology of people. Even standard books like Well Done and Gung Ho, the old Blanchard books. I quite like those. Are good little short-term lessons. But more recently, I'd probably say I'm trying to think what was the last business book I read now. Because I've got quite a lot in front of me. I can't think which one I've read recently. But I'll start with Why. It's an obvious one. I'll probably read that about 2 years ago. But it does give you I'm terrible like that. I read all these books and I go, I didn't really take in all that, but I like that bit. And suddenly that starts becoming part of my mantra and part of what we do.
I think one thing I've learned is you nearly need to go back and read them again.
Yeah, no, it's true. I 100%. Do you know what I started doing as well? I had a journal, and I started trying to pot mark. Some of them are easier than others. Where if I read a page and there was something that was really poignant, I just made a note of it. And so I almost like shrunk that book down into a highlighted version. And I've done that with a few books of late, actually, and that does seem to help because you can just quickly look back at the bits that really impacted you,
And Tony, do you have a set time for reading or structure for reading, or when do you
I used to, till I had two kids, but and so I've got two young kids, 6 and 8, and for probably about 3 or 4 years, it took a backseat massively. It really did. And I missed it as well because I do enjoy educating and learning. And again, it's not just about business, but people, psychology, transactional analysis, all sorts of things like that. I'm quite interested in all manner of things that interact with what I do. But it's only probably the last year or so that's I've picked that back up again now. So in terms of specific times, no. I like to have a bit of time. I don't really have lunch hours, I guess. I just keep going. But when I'm having a cup of tea or a sandwich or something, then I'll end up sort of picking up a book for 20 minutes or so. And just amazing how many books you can get through by having a 20-minute here and there.
Yeah, it's all about the habit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why I was at, and because a lot of people would like to read, but they just can't.
Yeah.
So
I think the habits kind of. I agree with you. You have to be quite. What's the word? You have to be. I use the word consistent a lot when I'm talking to people because you have to be consistent in your approach and consistent in what you're delivering, and learn habits and that kind of thing. If you deviate too far off that track, then it's hard to get back onto it. So you do have to kind of, I don't know, it sounds silly, but you sharpen the saw is the obvious phrase that comes to mind. You have to keep reflecting on what worked and what you've actually forgotten about. Because sometimes you kind of just drift along and you're like, oh, that was working really well. Why did I stop doing that? That's just because you get busy. That's it, simple as,
Very true. So on a lighter note, how are you celebrating your 50, or what are you planning for the year ahead?
Well, funny enough, I can't come up to your neck of the woods. We got a plethora of people coming across from England on Saturday night, and a load of people from here around this area coming up into Belfast on Saturday. My wife very kindly took me away to San Sebastian and Bilbao a few weeks ago as part of the present, which is amazing. Recommend that highly. Beautiful place. And then I've got some family time in a couple of weeks coming over to England to see my brother and his family and my stepmom and all their family as well. So I've got a real nice mixture of liveliness and family time as well, So no, looking forward to it.
Good. And then outside of work and family, any passions? Any spare time, if you have any spare time?
I do. Passionate as a kid. I love. If I ever have to go to England over the weekend without it winds me up because I enjoy my time with kids at the weekend. They're very active in sports and music. We'll play tin whistle and boron, and play a bit of Gaelic football, a bit of camogie, and just they're very active, which is great. Once I can get them off the Nintendo Switch and the PlayStation, But myself personally, you kind of revisit a bit yourself because I do a bit of coaching for the Gaelic football. Not that I've ever played it, but I seem to be getting to grips with it. But on that note, a couple of years ago, I went to help out the Clonduff Thirds actually, and I've really enjoyed that. I'm only a reserve man, to be fair, but when I'm on the pitch, I do enjoy it. I'm trying, but also up until recently played for Banbridge for a few seasons, just social rugby. Then again, like I said, I can't do one thing at once. I've switched to play for Rough Island football this season. Good bunch of lads. We're an older team playing against a lot of younger teams, so it's interesting.
Hard to beat the experience.
Yeah, frustrations come out, and especially at my age, you kind of think, "Hey, I'm sure I could run faster and quicker, and I was better than that kid, but maybe I wasn't. I don't know." but I just trying to keep active. Really, we do a lot of walking in the mountains here. We back onto the more mountains, which I love. So yeah, just try and keep active and fit, and just switch off a bit, really, I guess, because during the week, as you well know, it's listen, there's lots of things coming at you all different angles, and you've got to have time when you sort of go cut it,
So any last thoughts or anything you want to share that are for our listeners?
Any words of wisdom is what you get out.
Words of wisdom, yeah.
No, honestly, I just think, going back to the original question, I just think if anyone's even thinking about, starting a business, you know what? Just do it, because if it goes wrong, you can always go and get another job, right? It's that's my thought process, and I reckon for probably 4 or 5 years, I reckon every 6 weeks I doubted myself and thought, oh my God, what have I done here? Because we were battling hard, really, really hard, just to try and get work in. And the minute you get to the end of each month, you take a big deep breath and you go, I've got to do it again now, haven't I? And you just you have to be resilient. You have to work hard. You are right. There's no substitute for hard work. You work smarter as you get bigger, in my opinion, as long as things are going the right way. That's how I feel we are going as a business. But you are going to be continuing to hit the challenges, and so you just got to keep doing the right thing and innovating.
You say just do it or just take action. You have to take action.
Yeah, that's it really. And but you know what? It's not for everybody. So, because I'll tell you what, it is hard. right? There's no two ways about it. But it's very rewarding at the time at times as well. But it's very challenging at other times, especially like I said, when you've got young families to look after, and sometimes you're working late into the night or getting up very early to cover something that you didn't get round to doing the day before. You just got to do it. But yeah, if you get to a certain point, it does get easier. I wouldn't say easy, easier. You know.
Brilliant, Tony. Really enjoyed that, and thanks a million for agreeing to come on.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks very much for inviting me on as well, Kenny. It's much appreciated.